The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
It's Friday, the 13th day of October 2023. Welcome to Bermuda's Daily Talk Show. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by the BHS Group of Companies. Medical House and Linders. I'm Jamal Hartman. She's Sherry Vanderpool. And Maya Palacio will be with us in a bit to bring you the latest in her news break brought to you by People's Pharmacy. Sherry.
Good morning, Jamal.
What's so good about the morning?
We are alive. How about that? Let's start there. You woke up this morning.
But we have to see each other.
And that's where things take a turn for the worse. It just immediately, it just takes a turn. And then it reminds me that today is Friday the 13th. As soon as I saw you, I was like, well, I had to look down and I was like, it's Friday the 13th and there's Jamal.
I'm going to talk to my therapist about these short jokes. It's really damaging my self-esteem. It's damaging my self-esteem.
Is it bringing you down?
Well, according to you, I can't go any lower, right?
You possibly can.
Yeah.
You possibly can.
Folks, I just want one day someone in the audience say, Sherry, leave Jamal alone. Because if I did something like that, Sherry, leave Sherry alone. That's all they all are, right?
But you can take it because, you just
grab
onto it.
It's International Day of the Boy today, so I think you all should. Well, I don't think it's no such thing as that, but I just know I missed International Day of the Girl the other day, and Maya had to pull up with a days of the year because I completely forgot. And what better day for me to forget than Maya just be like, "Yo, it's International Day of the Girl. I have a day." Yeah, she rolled up, had my back that day. Yeah, see.
Good for her.
Oh, we've got Suzanne Ingham saying, "Don't pick on your brother. He's cool." Yeah.
Okay. Does she really know you?
People who show me love don't, right? Anyway. Greetings, everyone. Thanks for making us part of your daily routine. A good one today as we welcome the new head of Bermuda High School. I was going to say BHS, but the name is Bermuda High School. Carol Swainson. She is coming on the show and the actual first head that's of color, first Black head. So really looking forward to the conversation and learning about her journey. And I've said this on this show before, that in 2008, when Barack Obama became the first Black U.S. president, it was the first time, not just in the United States, but Black children across the globe in countries that were not majority Black, even some that are majority Black, were able to see a leader that reflected them, who reflected, what they looked like and gave them hope and belief that, oh, we can be in these kind of positions. So this is a huge step for Bermuda High School and Bermuda to see that you too can be in these spaces. So really looking forward to the conversation. The daily players are things you should know. Did you get Tuesday's answer?
You gave me a half a point. It was 1989. I said 1980. What was the question? Berlin Wall.
Yeah, Berlin Wall. What year did the Berlin Wall come down? And she said in the 80s. And it was 1989. And Sancha, yesterday, we asked where Christopher Columbus was born. And I don't think she took a guess, but it was Italy. And so today, I don't know what the question's going to be, but it's going to be something you should know. All right, Sherry?
Yeah, I'm sure I'm sure you already know the question, but that's fine.
All right. Folks, don't forget to subscribe on our website, thedailyhour.com. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. All right, let's get right to the conversation. Yesterday, we were privileged to have the Honorable former Finance Minister Curtis Dickinson on the show. And thank you, Suzanne Ingham. And she says you have an awesome show, great music, you're cool. That's all I need to know. We appreciate you. Thank you.
This is Suzanne. I'm gonna
And
call
Sherry
that
loves
you.
me. And she sees me. She hugs. She can't stop hugging me when she sees me. So I've got proof and video of how much they love me. Even Sancho, I have video of how much they all love me. Don't worry.
Curtis Dickinson.
What was that?
Let's get back to Curtis.
Oh, okay. But we had the Honorable former Minister on yesterday, and I just told Sherry and Maya something I saw on Twitter made me believe that the Royal Gazette grabbed something, and I did send them the link. So it does say the title is RA has the right to reject policy suggestions from government. And as I started reading, I saw that it said that in another blow to Mr. Oban's efforts to have this month's hike in electricity prices scaled back, he came under fire from former Finance Minister Curtis Dickinson for questioning the competence of the authority and making a public letter he sent to the chairman of its board of commissioners. So I just went down, and it looks like, it was a long conversation, but says in an interview on the Daily Hour talk show, Mr. Dickinson said he had confidence in the RA's ability to adjust fuel prices correctly, and that Mr. Roban should share that confidence. He also pointed out that the RA's reputation as an independent organization could be damaged by any suggestions of political interference. Mr. Dickinson said the regulatory authority is an independent regulator, and I get concerned when I see discussions between the political leadership and the regulator published in the daily papers. Those conversations are supposed to be discreet because there's a concept in the world, whether it be banking or insurance, and even in government, it's a concept called confidence. When a regulator is given the authority to make rules and enforce regulations, you expect that they're going to do their jobs properly. So I'll stop there and say this much. There was a lot said by the Honorable Minister, former Finance Minister yesterday. And question to the audience this morning is, what were some of your biggest takeaways from the conversation with the Honorable Curtis Dickinson? What were some of your biggest takeaways? It was a very long conversation. It was in depth. He did share a lot. I'm going to be honest. Someone wrote me after the show and said, I'm concerned after listening to Mr. Dickinson. I'm concerned because it seems like he's going to be leaving politics soon. One of my concerns was that there are rumors that the PLP is strategically trying to put Senator Owen Darrow in that area to basically displace Curtis Dickinson as the MP in constituency 21. My concern is and this is no disrespect to Owen Darrow, but why would you replace probably the most competent person in politics in Bermuda in both parties that I think is a unifier with someone who, with all due respect, not many people outside of his circle take seriously as a politician? I think that right there would be an explanation of the sad state of affairs that we're in Bermuda politically. In what world does it make sense to rid the party of, as current Premier David Burt described Mr. Dickinson as the finest or the best finance minister this country's had, with Owen Darrow? It makes no sense outside of being personal. And when we make personal decisions, we have to understand that we're likely not doing what's in the best interest of the people who put us here, voted for us, and the country. So, that was a big takeaway from me when Maya asked that question in the audience about being challenged. My question would be, why would they challenge him?
Mm. And you said it well, Jamal, because I always just lead, period, kind of with my life and personal and business. What is in the best interest of the company being the people, right? And we should always lead with that energy and put that first. Because if you do what's in the best interest, you take the personal out of it. Correct?
Mm-hmm.
The one thing that I took from uh, the Honorable Curtis Dickinson. I always want to call him Uncle Curtis because I just feel that warmth from him, right? And to say that means that I feel comfortable with him. To
Mm-hmm.
say that means that I feel that he's trustworthy in what he's saying.
Mm-hmm.
No, he doesn't sometimes have that oomph that I think we want, or sometimes that fire.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's that subtleness that allows him to do the job that he's supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
And if we're doing what is in the best interest of the country, then and finances is one of our biggest situations that are going on, then why are we coming at him to replace him in his constituency? And why aren't we listening to what he has to say?
Mm-hmm.
We trust him. The people trust him.
I mean, he's
And
probably
I think
one of the only politicians people trust at this point.
and I think they trust him. And I think the Bermudian people trust him even if they don't like what he has to say or like what he does. I think his transparency on top of that speaks volumes because you're not going to make everybody happy, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you're talking about JamCon and you're talking about Southampton Princess and you're talking about all the other things that come along with that, I think we trusted him and you took our trust away.
It's interesting you mentioned that because that's another takeaway for me is let's not forget Sancha asked him about Gen Con. He did not disagree necessarily that the hotel needs to be reopened, but think about what we said earlier. His focus, his main goal and priority is that the Bermudian people are not left on the hook in a bad deal. Like
Yeah.
everything he said yesterday was what you would call words from a man of principle. Even look at
Mhm.
the videos. Like we showed a video of him speaking versus a video of David Brett speaking. Look at the difference in presentation. I think, takeaways, I look at what he says and how he means. It's like the man spoke about his family. A man that speaks about his family first, like that, is a person you would trust with your economy, trust with your life. And I think as far as Gen Con goes, it would be easy to sign away like they did with Morgan's Point. But he was focused on giving what the best deal for Bermuda was. He didn't believe it was a great deal for Bermuda based on what happened before.
For Bermuda, not himself, not anything else, for Bermuda.
Yeah. I also think, a takeaway is we need more politicians who don't need a job. And what I mean by that is right now, I feel like Bermuda is stuck with politicians who need a job. So it's become a career for them. I would love to see us get to a space where the people representing us politically are actually doing a service that they sign up for rather than there to do anything in their might to maintain power so that they can keep a job. That to me does not give us the best opportunity to succeed. But audience, what are your thoughts? You all tuned in yesterday. What were the biggest takeaways from the conversation with the Honorable Curtis Dickinson? What do you think? What did you find of most importance? Because we're in an interesting state when it comes to Bermuda. We spoke about the current state of the economy. We spoke about people are leaving and losing hope. We spoke about accountability. He spoke about how to hold your politicians accountable. Many people have been saying accountability, accountability, accountability. But what does that look like? What does it feel like? What does it require us to do? I keep telling you all, right? And let me be very careful and cautious with my language because, Had a little police officer or two hit me up when I said this before. When an election is called, they hound you. They're on your doorstep. Between elections, you need to be on their doorsteps. You need to go knock on their office doors. You need to ensure that they are listening to you. Why? Because they work for you. When people are elected, they don't own the country. They are supposed to report to the shareholders of the country. And the shareholders of the country are the people. It's every last one of you. The shareholders can't get lazy and not do their part, because when that happens, if shareholders at a company just don't show up to board meetings and don't do their part, don't be upset when the company goes belly up because of irresponsible leadership that's not being held to account. If the board says to the CEO comes with this plan, the board says, well, we need to make 10 million in revenue this year to break even. And they say, oh, we got a plan to make 15. 6 months through the year, we're not even at 2 million. Then we have to review. We need to have a conversation. You are the board of directors. You are the shareholders who these people who are elected answer to. And it's almost like we don't know our power.
Don't they say?
Dickinson said, reach out to them, email them. If you don't get, okay, let's do a process. Email them. If they don't respond, call them. If they don't respond, show up.
Yeah. Because when politicians show up in the sense of what they say, the people have spoken.
Mm-hmm.
When we get what we want, or get what we didn't ask for, it's because the people have spoken, right? And spoken can be that you didn't vote or that you didn't, do your part in where these people are right now, or politicians, because the people have spoken.
Yeah. I mean, people just got to stop showing up every election and leaving it until the next election. Well, they do complain in between. Michael Daniels says, I would like to know what plan B is for Mr. Dickinson. Well, what's plan A? I don't know what you mean by that. What's plan A? Do you mean like if he's not in politics, what plan B is? I don't know. I think we're starved for intellectual capital in our political space. That's another thing I realized yesterday is we don't have enough Curtis Dickinsons in the space. I think Sir John Swan, when he was on the show, he spoke to it. He spoke to it that we don't have our best and brightest in the political space. So we're stuck with what we have. And this is no disrespect. I have a lot of love for many people who are elected. A lot of respect for Susan Jackson. A lot of respect for Tanae Furbett. I've got time for many people in that space. Even some that you all don't like. I have a lot of time for many of them. Renee Ming, but there are more people who are elected or appointed that, in my opinion, they're serving the people as they should. Yeah. Sean DeShields says it would appear that Dickinson genuinely has the people's interest at hand and not his own. Well, remember what the Honorable former Premier Alex Scott said 2 weeks ago today on this show. Remember that acronym WIF? It says too many people get into politics with that acronym, what's in it for me, front and center. What's in it for me? Yeah. That's one of our problems. We have too many people who are getting into it to see what they can get out of it. Suzanne Ingham says, silence means you comply, are okay with what they say. Don't be afraid to say no, and I don't agree. Absolutely.
Exactly. The people have spoken.
Yeah. So accountability was a big takeaway for me. I think that I think people have a level of confidence that that's the kind of politician that they want leading Bermuda. I think they're tired of the performative circus-like stuff, the preacher man in that nice suit stuff. I think Curtis Dickinson comes across as a person who is a straight shooter. He's not going to BS. He may not tell you what you want, but I believe he's going to do for you what needs to be done. It may upset us in the short term, but maybe in our best interest long term. Is he the answer to all of our problems? I don't think anyone is, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think the answer to our problems lies within each and every one of us. My hope is that we get to a point where we don't have to care or worry about what politicians do, because we have the freedom to actually do as we please within the laws that don't harm others physically, emotionally, mentally, financially, or whatever. But right now, we have a government that is filled with people full of what's in it for me, and not with the people at the top of their mind. Michelle White says, yes, we should reach out to our politicians, but they also need to be seen long before elections, even if it's a sorry, I missed you note in my mailbox. Sean Shields says, seeking accountability and working toward positive change was his focus, talking about Mr. Dickinson. Michelle White says, Mr. Dickinson seems to have exemplified the type of MP who will speak for the people from the position of trust.
Position of trust.
I'll tell you what, I think he will want to say and do a lot of things that won't make us happy. He will have to trim the fat. That will make people unhappy. But I think if the people trust him enough to do that, they know that they will be okay. Let's bring Maya Palacio in for the Daily Hour News Break. Don't forget, we've got a very special guest, Carol Swainson, the head of Bermuda High School, coming up. Incredible story there, so you don't want to miss that conversation. But let's see what Maya's got for us in the Daily Hour News Break.
Good morning. Good morning.
Greetings, madame. How are you?
Pretty good this morning. Yeah.
I like your hair, Maya.
Wow.
Thank you.
Oh, not a day to say that?
I don't know. I can't tell if you mean it or not. He didn't say it in the back. Sherry, you said it, so thank you.
Well, you see what I said, Maya. I'm like, wow. Wow. That's all I have for you. Wow. He is, wow, Jamal. Like,
see, I
let me
can't
drink my coffee.
man. Anyway, Maya, so you kind of put the honorable former finance minister on the spot yesterday with a question, but what are your thoughts? Like, what are some of your takeaways? And obviously, you can give your personal or journalism.
Journalistic opinion is just this climate that we're in right now in politics in Bermuda. It's like very, like almost like a tug of war. We don't really know where like things are gonna, like the chips are gonna fall. We just really don't, because in terms of like the PLP's like party, when it comes to whether or not Dickens is gonna still be there or not, because it feels like he has been quite quiet until he comes out and says something and comes to the show like this. So from my interview with him, he did say, PLP, that's where he'll still stay if he didn't win that internal election. So, it's been over a year now. And so it's just like wondering if his mindset's still the same,
Yeah.
Mm.
A
lot can happen in a year.
Oh, it can. As he did kind of say, he's, being challenged in that space, right? So, yeah. All right. What you got for us today?
Oh, good morning, everyone. This is the Daily Hour News Break brought to you by People's Pharmacy. So starting on my news this morning, we got to talk about water and Bermuda status, because today is October 13th. And that's when I told you guys when, that's when our deadline had stopped. So right now, still no update from the ministry as of yet. But I did get to speak to a Bermudian Olympian and diver. You guys might know her very well, Couture Horton, parent chief. And she's very integral to the part of the Bermuda Olympic Association. So here's a quick clip of what we spoke about yesterday, because again, hopefully we do get updates today. That's on my end believing that. That's on her end believing that as well, because they haven't really been getting too much too. But she spoke a good part about what South Africa is doing in their ministry, because they were in the same space as Bermuda, and they found a way to get some sort of extension. So possibly Bermuda is in the same boat, but we just don't know yet officially. So here's a quick interview part that we had together.
What I do know is that the South African Ministry of Sport released a statement. The minister said, we have approached CAS, which is the arbitration, the highest arbitration or the highest sports court on the planet. So WADA can actually capitalize on these sanctions until CAS rules whether or not it was measurable or like commensurate with what the actual offense was. So they've actually gone a little bit farther so that if they didn't get the extension, they at least have it stopped so that those consequences that have been listed by WADA are not going to be carried out, at least until CAS rules. So that was really smart on their behalf, as far as I know. And their minister was very communicative with their Olympic Association and their national sports governing bodies and their national federations. He had a full meeting with them. Conversely, we've actually not had that. So we're sort of relying on, just like you, e-communication. Luckily, we do have a very good relationship with Pan Am Sport.
So basically, South Africa gives us hope.
Yes, basically that does give us hope. From what we know that what they've done, we could possibly be in the same boat. So again, we should get some today. I'm gonna put it in there that we should get something today or over the weekend, Bermuda. So just stay tuned. You can follow me because I'll definitely be doing a story on it on Media Maya over the weekend. Next in our news break, the Minister of Education provides an update on revisiting parish primary school scoring process. Now, this is just an update on the process and a recommitment saying that they're doing it. It's nothing that says what they've decided yet or anything. But basically, the Minister of Education, the Honorable Diallo Bain, just says the ministry has always recognized the significance of preserving the rich history and legacy of Bermuda schools, and to that end, implemented the History and Legacy Working Group in 2022. He also continued saying that to ensure a comprehensive approach to integrating this additional study factor, we have involved the History and Legacy Working Group and have actively sought stakeholders and involvement. While on 6th of October, each primary school was invited to nominate 3 representatives to offer valuable insights into the school history and legacy of the institutions. These 3 representatives will have to present all submissions to the History and Legacy Working Group, and the schools have asked to submit their nominations by today, October 13th.
Okay.
I'm gonna lead the Minister of Education again today. We're having a good conversation with an educator today, so I'm not letting bring my energy down.
Well, just a correction from yesterday's newsbreaker. He talked about Art Month in Bermuda, or Jade Gibbons's exhibit that's going on today is actually in Dockyard. It's in Dockyard at the Commissioner's House National Museum of Bermuda, and that's going to be at 5:30 p.m. today. And then following that will be the live sessions back at City Hall with DIA. So that was a correction for yesterday's news on my end. But yeah, if you're interested and want to go to see the arts, that's tonight, 5:30 up in Dockyard.
I hope I can get him to see that.
It'll be up for an entire year, so
Yeah.
I'm sure you get him to see it.
I hope.
Props to Jade for real for that.
Yeah.
And in some other sports news, as we keep, this is very running theme right now, but Olympic sports are saying that 5 new ones are going to be nominated for 2028 Olympics. The Los Angeles 2028 Olympic and Paralympic Organization Committee has revised 5 new sports for inclusion in the 2028 Games. They are flag football, baseball/softball, cricket, lacrosse, and squash.
You heard that? Cricket. Bermuda's been in gold, baby. Hey, we need a show. Am I acting too excited? Because I'm just saying. I said cricket in the Olympics? Man,
Wow.
we're win and go.
Yeah. Here's a little...
Man, let's get them ready.
Get them ready for sure. Well, here's just a little bit from Sky Sport News for those who are keen, interested. This one's particularly on cricket, so let's hear it.
Yeah, it's a proposal by the organising committee of Los Angeles for the 2028 Games of 5 new sports to come into the programme. There are already 28 sports that are agreed on for those games in 5 years' time. But the Los Angeles committee, it's their gift to ask for 5 to come forward. Not all 5 will get in. We'll get to that in a moment. But those 5 sports: cricket, as we know, in a T20 format. Baseball, probably no surprise there with the games being back in the US. Lacrosse as a 6s, squash and flag football. I think the no surprises that cricket, baseball and squash has been trying to get into the Olympics for as long as I can ever remember. But just to get to the point, it's not all 5 will be guaranteed. They've now been proposed by Los Angeles. They'll go to the IOC. And guess where the IOC are going to be meeting later this week at the beginning of next week? This is no coincidence. They're meeting in India. They're meeting in Mumbai during a Cricket World Cup. I think cricket has an extraordinarily strong a chance of getting through of this proposal, but through the ratification and voting process of the IOC.
I'm just going to say, fellas, put the weed on or whatever substances you're used to taking.
See, alcohol in Bermuda.
Yeah, put it on and let's focus. Like, you all know how I am about Cop Magic Honey games. So Bermuda, I wish I could have been there for T20 last week because they're the one. But I just want our players. I mean, I love the way we get behind Bermudians. And for me, because cricket's not played in as many countries like football is, like football is the most global sport. It's, 200 plus registered nations in FIFA. Cricket, to me, gives us a greater opportunity to reach the promised land. And I hope that, I don't know how it will happen. It's going to be chosen. They're having those meetings in India, right? It will be chosen. It will be a part of the Olympics. I'm writing that. No,
it's the excitement.
Yeah, we need to find a way to get it. If Bermuda is in the Olympics in cricket, I'm going to my cup match hat, my straw hats I wear, like a Bermudian, you're going to know where I'm from. People that ain't even heard of Bermuda will know that guy's Bermudian. None of that triangle.
Jamal's an umgin. That's right.
It is exciting times, like the movement of sports and even our athletes, like really exciting times.
Yeah. Sorry for my excitement. Go ahead,
It's okay. Closing up my sports again with just one more news segment. So I've been speaking to and having interviews with a couple of our athletes that are going on to the Pan Am Games, which starts October 20th. So it's coming up really soon. But today you'll see my full interview with Tyler Smith, and that will be on media-maya.com later this afternoon. So I'll be posting it everywhere that I have, but really great conversations that are going to come as well from Adriana, Dej Miners, and also Madeline Moore.
I'm out of breath just looking at that picture.
You too. Hey, my goodness.
Pass me an asthma pump. Mercy.
I feel, the person who came up with that idea, swim, ride, and run.
What about the octathon?
Yeah, that one too. All of it, like, come on. Like, if you were trying to take me out, just,
It's the running for me. I hated running.
Yeah.
Back in the day, cross country and all of that. Just
still do, but I try to.
The anxiety that running gives me. It's all because of Marshall. No, let me stop.
Not lie.
The weather's looking like a bit cloudy, some rain, chance of thunder as well. But hopefully that decreases a bit in the afternoon. I'm sorry about that, everyone. And gale force winds as well. So if you're on a bike, please be careful. Try to get in the car today if you can. And we have a high of 78 degrees Fahrenheit.
I did a Sancha.
All the rain, people saying it's flooding up near South Shore. So just be careful, folks, if you're out there on your bikes. What you got for days of the year, Sherry?
Well, it's Friday, and today is No Bra Day, also known the moment we get home from work.
No one say every day?
Every day, right? Today is not just about comfort, though. No Bra Day, which falls in the middle of Breast Cancer Awareness Month, is a time for women and men to learn about breast health. It helps to remind people that breast cancer is a potentially fatal disease, but also highly detectable and treatable. No Bra Day is all about learning to spot early signs and get an edge in the fight against cancer. Hey, say less, okay? Make sure you take off your bra too, Jamel, so you can make sure you check everything and all that's going on.
Yeah, I ain't got no problems, but your boys put on some weight, folks. So, don't worry about that. Maya, thank you so much. Have a wonderful weekend.
You too. Bye, guys.
So anyway, great conversation coming up with the head of Bermuda High School, Carol Swainson. You don't want to miss it. Make sure you share the link with your friends, your family, your colleagues, and stick with us. We'll be back after this short break. Cher is so damn rude. I just don't know what we're going to do.
No, women, check your breasts.
Yeah, you do that.
People's ACW, located at King Edward VII Memorial Hospital, carries over-the-counter medicines, toys, cards, and even toiletries. Our knowledgeable staff are there whether you're at emergency, visiting family, or a member of BHB staff, to show you our best even when you're feeling your worst. People's ACW. We're here for you.
Welcome to the new bulk store, Lindo's Next Level. Place else.
Mom's celebrating her 70th birthday next month. Have you noticed her age is catching up with her?
Yeah. Plus, she's having a hard time getting up and around like she's used to. I would sure hate to see her fall.
At Medical House Limited, we can help make life situations easier. We have electric beds, motorized scooters, bath stools, walkers, you name it.
Mom's been real good to us. We'll get her birthday and Christmas gifts from Medical House.
Medical House has relocated next to the Dendy Town Field, number 6 Bakery Lane, Pembroke. Telephone 292-3622.
Welcome back to the big show. Sherry Vanderpool, I'm Jamel Hartman. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House, Lindo's, and People's Pharmacy. Please do not forget to subscribe on our website, thedailyhour.com. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. Without further ado, well, before we bring our guests in, Michelle White says, no bra day, woohoo, and today is rainy, wet t-shirt day. My word.
Miss Michelle.
I mean, well, hey, let's bring our guest for the day. Miss Carol Swainson. I didn't know we got down like this. This was definitely a PG.
Listen,
this morning. But let's bring on Miss Swainson. She's the first Black head of BHS, Bermuda High School. Let's give her a warm TDH welcome. That means clap, Sherry. Okay.
I know what that
Good
means.
morning. Good morning. Welcome.
Good morning, Jamal. Good morning, Sherry. Good morning, Bermuda. It's great to be here. Thank you for having me.
Do you see how he treats the women in his life? Do you see that?
As the kids would say, this got a little inappropriate for a hot moment.
You hear me? I just don't get it. But first off, thank you for doing this early on a school day. And we appreciate having you. And for those who may not know who you are, for some reason, not everyone reads the news or watches this show every day, but just tell us a bit about your background, a bit about what you do.
Great. Well, I've been a longtime educator here in the United States, I've taught every age group from the little ones all the way through grown-ups. And I have been in leadership of schools since the turn of this century. And it's been a wonderful route. I just moved here from San Francisco area, Oakland, California. I was heading a school there and joined BHS's long history as being a leader of girls' education. And we also have co-ed at our senior years. So I have been thrilled about this idea of being in an international environment because I am trilingual. So I speak Spanish, I speak French. Bermuda is very, very international that way. And I'm super excited because I'm back to my grandfather and my uncle's home here in Bermuda because my grandfather played for St. George's.
Oh, and that's when I lost her. I was just so excited. And I was just like, awesome. She speaks 3 languages, and then we can add Bermudian to it. And then she said the S word now. She said that.
No, I honestly, I think that's the greatest quality I've heard so far. And we still have a long way to go. So thank you. Absolutely great grandfather there. I admire him. So your journey, you've been an educator, Bay Area. Yeah, big up to the Bay Area. What brought you, besides having some ancestry here, what brought you to Bermuda? How did your journey end up coming back to Bermuda? And I speak, Sherry's based in Atlanta, I'm based in Florida. Some of us are based outside of Bermuda. But what was your story in saying, this is a time to go back to where my grandfather was from?
Yes. Well, I've always been, I'm a water person, so I've always wanted to be back on an island. That's definitely been something that's interested me. I've run trips to Corsica and Puerto Rico, and it's kind of it's definitely no surprise that that's what I would do. The Looking at Bermuda High School has been just fantastic because of the whole International Baccalaureate program. I'm an internationalist, globalist. School that's a round square school, the only one on island. It's one that believes in getting students out around the world. We have students in Nairobi. We have students going off to New Zealand. We have exchange students going to South Africa. So that is who I am. You mentioned earlier that when the Berlin Wall came down, I was actually in France studying in 1989, and everyone was going to go have New Year's on the Berlin Wall that year. So that natural attraction to a school like BHS was there, and then that connection to the island piece. I actually was able to move away from the Bay Area where I had started with my late husband, International Peace and Arts Center. He happened to pass right before I started looking at Bermuda. So I was like, let's go ahead and find something completely different. And I'm super excited because I visited here and I just was feeling like this is the place I need to be. This is the wonderful spot. And this is the school where I need to be because of the opportunity to lead these girls and boys to become global citizens.
Indeed, and definitely sincerest condolences on the loss of your husband right before this. Before you came on, I did speak about Barack Obama and him being elected gave so many a belief that, wow, I can do this, I can be that. And what does it mean to be the first Black head of BHS? Like, do you see it like that as a source of inspiration for others?
Absolutely. I mean, in education, our job is to inspire the next generation to do better than what we've already done, to do things that we thought could never be done. I was one of those folks. I will confess, I lost a $100 bet when Barack Obama became president. I didn't think that would happen in my lifetime, but it did. And it's things like that that really fuel me to help students and young people realize that while things look challenging or things look like they might be impossible, that they are possible. So as the first, this is actually not the first time I've been the first Black leader of an organization. So that's not new to me. Since I became an administrator, I was the first diversity coordinator at Sidwell Friends in Washington, D.C. Definitely was the first middle school head of school head in Oakland, California at Head Royce School, and then the first Black head of school at San Francisco Schoolhouse in San Francisco, California. So I'm used to that kind of experience. So I think that, it's always wonderful for students to see themselves in leadership. I will say that I did choose BHS because I happened to go on their website when I was interviewing, and I looked at the two head students, and there were girls that looked like me. So it works both ways. I got super excited to see that, wow, look at these head girls. They look like me. This is really fun. I could enjoy that. Because I haven't had that experience at the other schools I've had in the United States. So we all have to see that possibility of ourselves in leadership in every aspect. And I will say, go back to Barack Obama, because I was also in Chicago at a time period, and that's a community where, especially for Black Americans, that you can see everyone in every piece, whether it's running the country, whether it was running the city or any organization or at the university or on the street, you saw Black people in every role, and it was not Black people relegated to one role. So I really hope that that's something that this is going to bring to the school. The other thing that I bring with me, though, is I'm a collaborator. I love collaborating with folks, and that's why I'm super excited. We're collaborating with CURB. To do, because I've done a lot of diversity leadership. I have a film that I use to help folks talk about racism, but we're actually doing a collaboration with CURB in students in leadership. And it's happening over the half-term break on the 24th and 25th of October at BHS's campus. And what's wonderful about it is a conference that used to take place in the United States, and a lot of Bermuda students haven't been able to access it. So we're really thrilled to offer this general diversity leadership. It'll cover all topics and help the students become leaders in their own schools to make cross-cultural understanding, inclusion, more effective in all of their school environments. And this is a collaboration between both public and private schools. So we're super excited to do that.
Yeah.
Awesome. This will be your first time being an educator in Bermuda. What do you plan to bring to BHS as compared to your previous education establishments? And it sounds like there have been many at this point. So where are you grabbing all of these great things as an educator?
Oh, I plan to bring a lot of those kinds of experiences because I'm an experiential educator by nature. So I love creating experiences where students are doing real world kinds of activities and feeling like they're connected to their greater community. I have to say, I love the fact that the title of the program is Improving Our Community and One Conversation at a Time. So I'm hoping to bring in to BHS that conversation and connection to others. I think that some of the private schools have been like islands and not necessarily as connected across, especially public. I want to make sure that we're doing that. I also really want to bring in the whole innovation piece to the whole island. I'm also an environmentalist. I ride my pedal bike around. I know people look at me like I'm kind of funny, but I do. I don't have a car yet. And I either am riding a pedal bike or I'm walking. And I like that. It's also part of my fitness plan, as I tell people. But I'm hoping to bring that kind of, we can be sustainable to the community. We can innovate as a community. And so BHS is actually going to be hopefully offering some collaborations with everyone else to, bring our STEAM week to everyone and connect with others, not just for the students, but for Bermuda as a whole, because, we're on an island and we have to live sustainably in order to survive.
I love that.
Questions or comments for Ms. Swainson, please send them through. We'll get through as many as possible. Jerry. Yeah.
I was gonna say, I love that. Your pedal bike. There's a magistrate in Bermuda that rides a pedal bike as well. I wonder if you wanted to. But this would be your first time being, sorry. What are your top priorities for BHS over the next 5 years?
Top priorities. The main thing is that, we all create these narratives, and we certainly as Black folks know about narratives. And we have different kinds of stories. And I've been learning that sometimes people don't have the right narrative about what really is going on, or it's an old narrative, but certainly BHS started in a way that was not good for Black folks. And now it's absolutely a school that's inclusive and for girls' education. So, and then for co-ed at our senior years. So I think really making sure we get that clear, making folks know that what we're all about and understanding who we are. And then, of course, bringing in some programming and enhancing some programming that we already have in place. We have our Innovation Center. We want to make sure that we have more engagement, community engagement in that, making sure that the school is, we continue with our She Leads program and evolving that into different pieces. Again, really sponsoring that concept of girls in leadership and all students in leadership and the collaboration. I think that the biggest piece for me is that I really think that we as schools do well when we are connected to others. So I think that is one of the things that's the biggest component for me as far as the next 5 years, getting BHS really to strengthen itself and continue to connect with others.
All righty. We have some questions from the audience. Travel Trotty, you spoke about connecting and collaboration. Travel Trotty's asking, as Bermuda College is the only higher education institution on the island, are there any plans to collaborate with them?
Oh, I hope so. I absolutely hope so. I'm new to the island, and it's one of those things where I meet all these people. I've met thousands of people at this point in time, just my school alone, as well as outside of that. And so I've got a sea of names and lots of people to meet. Definitely want to collaborate with the college. I'm also looking at one of the things that I'm hoping, and I'd love to meet with all the different folks from immigration to the Ministry of Education, so that we can find ways to bring students on island that will allow us to, one, it'll be good for the economy, it'll be good for the island, and it'll be good for our own students. We always look at the students going off and leaving the island to get experiences, and we have some amazing resources here that it would be wonderful to share, and then in partnership, have students share that together. Because you know how it is. You don't know how wonderful your situation is until someone visits, and all of a sudden they're like, "You live here? This is amazing," and you need that influx. So yes, I'd love to collaborate with Bermuda College, and we will hopefully get to meet sometime soon.
That is an absolutely brilliant idea, because you're so right. So many people in Bermuda send their children off to different private institutions, boarding schools, different things. I love that idea. Like, people literally young teens coming to Bermuda for education in our high schools. That to me is brilliant.
Very smart.
Hello, government, education. I mean, immigration. I mean, seriously. I mean, we're talking about it solves so many problems. Seriously, it solves a lot of problems. Like, majority of Bermudians go overseas for college, right? When they go higher education. When you go, your family's going, your family's visiting you, your friends are visiting you. Let's talk graduation weekends in certain cities. I mean, hotels are full, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's an absolutely brilliant idea. And I hope that it's something that can progress with good talks, because I say it on this show all the time. Bermuda needs some wins. We need some wins. Wanda Armstrong, our good friend and stranger these days, she says supporting the Bermuda High School for appointing the first female Black head of school, Carolee Swainson. So I think I don't want to understate the appointment. I think you said something earlier that it's not the first time that you've been the first. Like, you have a track record of being a barrier breaker. Is that intentional?
You know, I come from some pretty amazing parents, and I'm one of 6 children. Oh my goodness, I don't know why I just said that. 7. I'm number 6 child of 7 children. There you go. Let's get that right. And you know, I come from a long line of educators. My dad was an educator and an entrepreneur. My mother was one of those amazing women who, if you've seen Hidden Figures, well, she actually she was a computer for NASA when she was 17. She grew up right there in Hampton, Virginia. My parents met at Hampton Institute, which is now Hampton University. And it's that kind of, she was a sciences person. So she was the only woman in her classes at Hampton. And, you know, she had to deal with a lot of challenge around that. You know, what are you going to do that? You know, aren't you just going to go ahead and, you know, get married and all that stuff? So it's coming from parents like that who inspire me to always, you know, when someone says you can't, or someone says you shouldn't, I say, oh, yes, we can do this. Everything's possible. Anything is possible. It may take a while, but it's definitely possible. And if we can, as there's this one author that says, if you can imagine it, it can happen.
Yeah.
Indeed. Well, thank you. LaShawna Smith says, I'm excited to have you as our new head of school. The best is yet to come. BHS, parent empowering girls. Look, before you head out, what would you say to someone who, I mean, since 2020, we've been in the diversity, equity, inclusion, accessibility space. I'm going to be very honest. I'm a person who I just don't see it. I'm going to tell you what I do that gives me a headache. I will be on LinkedIn and I would look at certain jobs, not because I'm trying to work for them. And then I would go and view the company staff. And then I would go and see, well, okay, all white staff, a lot of white women. Let me see what the percentage of Black people in this city and town are. I know Again, weird, right? Strange. But I do that because so many of these companies have out front diversity, equity, inclusion. But for me, it's like we're saying it, we're not doing it. What advice would you give someone where, you know, they just don't see it happening until they see someone like you? Like your story of breaking barriers is what would you say to keep them going, to say, you know, keep pushing, keep trying to break those barriers? Because when I see that stuff, it's just like, why do we even try?
Oh, we always try, because we wouldn't be where we are to some degree if we hadn't tried at all. You know, there's a whole thing. It just takes a few committed citizens to make the change, and that's Margaret Mead's paraphrase quote. But one of the things that I always say, because I met Dr. Dorothy Height, last century, I guess. And she was at that time, I think about 93, 92 years old, somewhere around there. She was in a wheelchair. She was in her pink suit, looking all beautiful. And I thought, wow, she's really old. She looks really tired. People put a microphone in her hand, and she talked about, and she just lifted right up and started speaking and saying, had this energy of, you keep going, don't give up, never give up. And I thought to myself, wow, if you're that old and been done so much and you are still energized, because at that time I was in my 20s. I was like, oh, I have no excuse. So I think that you have to keep trying, because change only happens if we try. And we have to try. We can't just say, oh, this is the way it always is. And that's kind of what I want to bring to Bermuda, because I keep hearing folks saying, well, Carol, welcome to Bermuda. Things are going to go a little differently, and things are different. And I like to say, I understand, but I've just had so many moments in my life where people say, well, that'll never happen, or this won't happen. One example I love to give is in the English language. The pronoun they, them, which is gender neutral, people sort of casually used it first. And I'm a linguist, so I know that how language evolves. And, you know, the English dictionary now says you can use they, them as a gender neutral pronoun when you're not wanting to, instead of having to say she, he all the time, you can say they, them, that kind of thing. Things change. Things do change. Things can change. We just have to be willing to understand that we have to try. We can be assured nothing will change if we do nothing. So I think that they should go ahead and do it, because they have to do that. I grew up, and one of the reasons I'm also fueled by this, I grew up in public schools in Fairfax County, Virginia. That's actually where I grew up. And the schools were 98% white. And I was faced with low expectation. I was faced with all sorts of different kinds of stereotypes and things like that. And I, again, had those great parents who told me how to just continue to push through, show them, and so forth. You want to go in, and what I learned to do was to bridge communities and connections. I have a lot of friends that would ask me questions about different experiences, and I would be able to explain it to them, and then they were able to explain it to other people. And so I think that when you're going into those environments where you're like, oh, they say they want this, but they're not looking like they're walking the walk, you can help them to walk the walk. Sometimes they're not ready in the sense that they don't say what they are, they haven't arrived, they're not there in the continuum. But just the fact that they've opened the door, or at least used the words, then you take those words and you help them to actually live them. And I think that's what we really want to, do by joining in, because I think people are people, and everyone really does want things to go well. And so that's where I think that we have to kind of think about it in that universal sense.
Indeed. Well, congratulations on your appointment, and thank you for being such an inspiration, not just to young ladies, but also young men, giving people hope through the work and the barriers that you're breaking. So please know, if we can ever be of assistance for yourself or the institution, please reach out. Don't be a stranger. But thank you for doing this, having this conversation, and all the best to you at BHS.
Thank you so much for having me. And please check out our website if you want to learn more about our school, and check out CRIB's website if students are interested in the conference.
Sounds good. Have a great one, Ms. Swainson.
Thank you. Have a
All
great
right, Carol Swainson, head of BHS. Folks, if you appreciated that conversation this morning, please give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. Make sure you share that conversation. That was a really incredible story, and we're going to touch on it when we come back. Going to take a quick break, our final break of the day, come back, wrap it up, and also it's the Daily Play.
Ordering from ER Fisheries has just gotten simpler. With just a few clicks of a button, you can place an order for next-day delivery or same-day pickup. Our ever-expanding list of offerings now include grocery pantry items, specialty meats, and bread and dairy items. We know things have been hard, and we're here to make planning for your next meal or party easy. Whether you're a vegetarian or a meat eater, we have what you're looking for. And best of all, it can be delivered to your door in 24 hours or less. Go to www.erfisheries.bm and check out our wide range of seafood, beef, lamb, pork, poultry, fruits, vegetables, and plant-based products, all available at reasonable prices. That's www.erfisheries.bm.
All righty. Thanks again to Carol Swainson, the head of BHS. Really appreciate the conversation. Her story is quite incredible. I really hope people can share it with everyone, not just young ladies, but everyone, even adults. We have to keep going and keep pushing. If we literally, what I got from that, and I'll share more at the end, but that is a story of being the change that you want to see in the world. That's what she represented in that conversation just now. Thanks again to the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House Lindos, and People's Pharmacy for ensuring that we can do these conversations with you on a daily basis. Again, please give us a thumbs up, a love, a like, and share it in your WhatsApp group. Share it with your friends. It's time for the Daily Play, brought to you by Bermuda Trivia, now available at stores throughout Bermuda. Follow Bermuda Trivia on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok to find out why it's Bermuda's favorite trivia game. Sherry, are you ready?
Yeah, and I feel like, we just got off with the teacher, so educate. I hope I know it.
It's the easiest question you'll ever get on this show. What does the abbreviation R&B stand for in music?
Oh, rhythm and blues. Ooh, didn't even let you get your music started.
Please.
The best kind of music, though, Jamal, you must agree.
Qualified for answering before I play my music, but the
no, sir.
The answer is rhythm and blues. Anyway, like I said, the question you'll ever get. Let's do it. Final thoughts on today's show, Sherry. What you got for us?
I'm just gonna say, Uncle Curtis. No disrespect. I just like him, and as I said, I think at the minimum, he is thinking about Bermuda. He is putting Bermudians first in his thought process. And I just love how his delivery of that is, his trustworthiness and his warmth. And that's what I took from it. And I believe in him. The same thing with Miss Swainson. It is beautiful to see, a woman of color being the head of BHS. And I believe it was 128-year history that was broken. Talking about being a barrier breaker. And I love that what she is going to bring to BHS and even her thoughts on what to bring to Bermuda is what we need. And yes, we can.
All right. With as far as the conversation with what takeaways from Mr. Dickinson, I'll just say this. We do need more people like him. And my hope is that when we get people like him, we support him. And I'm just going to carry that over to Ms. Swainson. I remember when Charles H. Jeffers II was appointed as the CEO for the Bermuda Tourism Authority. He was the first Black person to have that position. Glenn Jones was interim. But we didn't support Charles. When we get people like Ms. Swainson in these positions, it is our duty to support them. Whether you have a student at BHS or not, whether you work at BHS or not, we have a duty to support them. We can't cry and jump around and scream about not having people of color in positions. And then when they get there, not only do we not support them, but we tear them down. Incredible story. Let's do our part to make sure that she's a success so that more of us can get these kinds of opportunities. Sherry, do you have any daily inspiration for us before we head out?
I do. The daily inspiration is being brought to you by ER Fisheries and Foods. If you're always trying to be normal, you'll never know how amazing you can be. And that's Miss Maya Angelou. So go out this weekend and don't be normal, be amazing. Like me.
Alrighty, folks, don't forget it's time to say, don't forget to subscribe on our website, thedailyhour.com. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. Thanks again to our partners, the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House Lindos, and People's Pharmacy for ensuring that we're able to do this with you on a daily basis. As always, we appreciate you, we love you, and we thank you for making us part of your daily routine. If all goes well, we'll be back to do this again with you on Monday. She's Sherry Vanderpool. I'm Jamel Hartman. Please do make it a safe and a great weekend. We are out. Peace.